All right, we're here with Ivan from Ivan on Tech. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Thanks for joining us, Ivan.
Thank you so much, Justin. Amazing to be here with you.
All right, so we're in the wake of the great YouTube crypto purge. What's the latest?
Well, the purge is over. So all the channels are back. Everything is back to normal. But that is only on the surface. In reality, nothing is back to normal because now everyone understands that you will have to decentralize. I mean, it's not a question about whether we should or not. It's a question about how quickly we can do it and how. I mean, what kind of platforms should we migrate to or not migrate to? And for me personally, what I've done is that I've now started an email list, and I encourage everyone who is watching me and wants to follow me, not only to subscribe on YouTube, which has been the way to follow me lately, but now to actually get into the email list, because you understand that I'm not able to communicate with you if something like the YouTube purge happens ever again. So it's very important that you actually subscribe by being on the email list. And as I also told to everyone on Twitter, if you have a community but you don't have your email list in order, you don't have your community on your email list, you don't really have a community. It's like not your keys, not your Bitcoin, as we say in crypto. When you have your Bitcoins on an exchange, it's really not your Bitcoin, because the exchange can go broke, or they can scam, or they can be hacked, meaning that you don't really own your Bitcoin if you don't own your keys. The same is with online communities, not your email list, not your online community.
I think this is a great lesson that if we're building online communities, that we're not too dependent on one platform. So not only an email list or a YouTube channel, but there's also Twitter, there's
Yes.
Facebook, there's Instagram, there's TikTok now, which is gaining a lot of traction lately.
Yes.
LinkedIn is having somewhat of a moment now where you're able to get a lot of organic reach. I think that um, besides having .coms, it's going to be important for people who want to have an internet presence to kind of leapfrog from platform to platform wherever organic reach is easiest to get. And I think that organic reach is determined by the amount of eyeballs on a platform and how much content is there. So the more
Yes.
eyeballs and the less content, the more likely it is you're going to be able to get eyeballs for less money. What do you think?
I agree, and TikTok is the greatest example. We have a lot of eyeballs, not enough content, and not enough original content. Everyone is basically doing the same thing on TikTok. It's very interesting. There are these TikTok trends, but still there's so many people watching, and it's really a need for content there. And I agree with you that we have to use decentralized alternatives out there, like YouTube, like TikTok. They're all centralized, but that is where the eyeballs are. But then it's very important to take the second crucial step to actually then get emails from your community somehow, that you actually can communicate with your community, even if you get deplatformed or the platform gets banned, which TikTok could be banned, by the way. There is an investigation about them abusing some child privacy laws, I heard, in the US. So while it's amazing for reach, amazing for growth, amazing for discovery, we should not be too comfortable, and we should not be too relaxed, as we all have learned during the past week on YouTube. And maybe in the future we'll have decentralized discovery algorithms and decentralized platforms, but none of them are viable right now. And therefore, I think email is the best way to go. Just collect everyone's email so you can communicate with them.
What's your plan with the email strategy?
Well, number one is notifications, that I can actually send out notifications about my streams. I think that is the biggest thing right now, because YouTube is not going to send notifications for every stream. They are just sending sometimes, depending on if they are in a good mood or bad mood, or the algorithm wants to send or doesn't want to send. So really, for the longest time since I started YouTube, it's been all about, I hope that the algorithm sends out notifications. I hope that the algorithm shows. You're basically a slave to the algorithm. That's what you are. So instead of that, now we're doing email notifications ourselves. So if people really want to follow and want to subscribe, the only way to really subscribe is to be on the email list. So that is number one. And number two, if something happens, we can redirect our traffic, our notifications to another platform, which is very important. It's this robustness that we're looking for, that if it is the case that we see another crypto purge on YouTube, it wouldn't surprise me at all if YouTube forbid cryptocurrencies in the near future on YouTube, so that we have communication, and we can move somewhere else, and we can still speak to each other. Because it's crazy that, look, YouTube has everyone's email. Twitter has everyone's email, but creators don't. So it's I understand that we've been taking it for given that this situation is just a standard, the status quo. That is how everything works, and nobody has questioned. I haven't even questioned it a lot. It's just during the past weeks when we see the YouTubers that I really begin questioning, like, why should I not have my my audience's email? Of course, I should have it. I mean, otherwise I don't have my audience. So it's a big mind shift that is happening, I think.
Beyond email, are there any mediums or ways to connect with your audience that you're looking at, like perhaps text messaging, etc.?
Yes, I haven't tried text messaging, but it sounds interesting. But right now, email. Maybe later on we will decentralize into more ways. But text messaging seems interesting. That you can have people text message you, and then they get some kind of question that they can ask, or they get an ebook, or they get something from the text message. But then also they can stay subscribed to the text message as well when we have announcements. Maybe that's a good medium as well. But we're starting with email, and then text message also seems very interesting.
So before we transition to decentralized platforms in the future, like what do you think is a good strategy for people with channels or influencers in the interim? Like, are you now placing more emphasis on any other existing mediums beyond YouTube?
I'm posting everywhere and encouraging people to sign up on email list. That's it. That is the only thing we can do really, because there are no alternatives to YouTube. There is no alternative to the current centralized ecosystems, and I mean there are some crypto YouTubes, blockchain YouTube copies, clones. Unfortunately, the only thing they offer is hosting. I mean that everyone's saying, Ivan, you should put all your videos on that platform, on this platform, because they are crypto and they're decentralized. But look, I can also put my content on my own website and have a backup, and nobody will be able to censor me on my own website. So hosting is not the issue. It's not like I need somewhere to put my videos. I can put them on my own server if I want. So that's not, the focus is a bit wrong. The focus should be on discovery, the fact that you can get new audiences, you can get in front of new people. And I feel that the future of video will be like podcasts, the fact that you can host your content on your own site, on your own server, and then through RSS links you can still have these discovery platforms where they aggregate everyone's content through the RSS links that everyone provides from their own servers. I think we're going to have something like this. That is the decentralization I'm seeing. And then maybe we'll have some tokens for payments or rewards or advertising or something. But I think too many crypto YouTube alternatives are focusing on the wrong thing, which is hosting. But man, I don't need another hosting. I can host on my own server as well. It's not the issue. The issue is discovery.
And this is about understanding your audience, understanding where they are, where they're consuming the content, and adjusting to that.
Yes, and everyone is consuming on YouTube and Spotify. So, for example, now we've started with podcast as well, just putting the audio on all podcast platforms. So yeah, we gotta play the game, and the game right now is that people are still using centralized solutions, and they will for quite some time. I think we're not going to transition into decentralized platforms anytime soon. And for crypto to grow, we need to get into more people's mind, and we need to be exposed to more people. So therefore, we should be using where the platforms where people are. But at the same time, try to get email, try to always have a robust communication channel with the audience in case something happens.
Now, when you woke up and you saw that your videos were removed from YouTube, what was your first reaction?
To be honest with you, I expected it. I had the feeling because everyone else got removed the day before, so I knew that I will be next. So I expected it. I mean, obviously, you get a bit disappointed. You lose energy. You're not as pumped to do things when your biggest channel and your biggest means of communication gets censored, and yeah, and basically you cannot upload. So it's not fun. I mean, it's sad days. But at the same time, the good thing with Crypto Purge was that we as crypto influencers got very close together. We had this groups on Telegram where we organized ourselves, and we could get the most noise out on Twitter as possible, so that YouTube finally responded, and they finally said that it's a mistake. I don't know if they would have said it's a mistake if we wouldn't have made so much noise, to be honest with you. So yeah, a lot of support from other YouTubers, a lot of community feeling with other YouTubers. It was, in that sense, it was very good that we got to know each other and work with each other and have this crisis together, because you know that people bond the most in crisis, when you have a common problem to solve.
All right, Ivan, you've come a long way over the years. I kind of want to talk about your journey, not only as an influencer, but how you discovered cryptocurrency. And, I think a lot of people, not as many as today, but a lot of people will probably remember you from your days of just using like a blue microphone,
Yeah,
without
yeah,
big,
yeah.
but now you've really grown, and you're one of the leading personalities in crypto with your shows, Good Morning Crypto, for instance, and the other programs on Ivan on Tech's, your YouTube channel. So I guess to begin, can we discuss how you discovered crypto and what that was like?
Yes. Yeah, so really, I've been a programmer all my life. I always found technology interesting. So I started programming when I was 9 years old. And for me, it was at the beginning about web development and game development. I was very interested in computers, and I always wanted to learn how to program and build things. So I had it as a huge hobby since I was 9. And then in 2013, I discovered Bitcoin from a friend, because Bitcoin was having a bull market in 2013. We went from $30 to $1,000, and everyone was freaking out about Bitcoin. Just like in 2017, when we went to 20K, also everyone was freaking out. And whenever Bitcoin goes to new all-time highs, you have a lot of new people joining the market. So in 2017, we saw thousands of people discover crypto and now join the crypto industry. And I was like that. I joined as well, but in the previous cycle before 2017. So in 2013, I joined. It was right at the end of the previous cycle, because I joined crypto in 2013 in November, December, and then we collapsed and we entered the new bear market. So it's like most people, you FOMO in at the top, and then you learn how the market truly works. But I found it very interesting from a technical perspective. That is why I stuck around. Although we collapsed from $1,000 to basically 200 during those times, and 80% loss in 2014 and 15, I still found the Bitcoin so fascinating from a tech perspective, because I had the tech background. So I kept educating myself, kept studying Bitcoin white paper, how it works, and really spent those years, that bear market from 2014 to 17, just studying. Also, Ethereum came out in 2015, which added a whole new perspective on this, and added a whole new way to program and build applications on top of blockchain networks. So at that time, I also learned how to program on Ethereum using Solidity, using dApps, building dApps, and how this whole industry works. And then in 2017, I started my YouTube channel, mainly as a way to share my knowledge about programming and technology. But then my crypto-related videos blew up a lot, and since then I've been doing it. And now we also have the largest online academy for cryptocurrencies, and we teach people how to program on Ethereum, on EOS, on Bitcoin, on Lightning Network. We teach them how Bitcoin really works, how Ethereum truly works under the hood, and it's been a great journey. And I think we're only starting. It's only the start, because cryptocurrencies are still so early and so young. So there's still a lot to do.
When did you start coding, and what programming languages were you, I guess, most excited about or used the most?
Yeah, so I started coding when I was 9, and the reason I really started coding was because I was addicted to video games when I was a kid. So I played this game called RuneScape, and RuneScape is a game that runs in your web browser. So you open your Firefox or Internet Explorer in those old times, and then you go to runescape.com and you can play the game. So I thought, okay, how can I build something like RuneScape? I really wanted to get into game development in the beginning. And so my mom gave me this book, and on the cover of the book, it said, here is how you can make websites. Like, this book will teach you how to make websites. And I thought, hey, this game, RuneScape, it runs in the browser. It is a website. So if I just learn everything from this book, I will be able to build my own online games. But that book was only about HTML. So I was a bit disappointed when I finished it, because I could only do some simple things in HTML. And I thought, okay, how can I continue? And yeah, I just did some research, talked to some people. They recommended JavaScript. I learned JavaScript. Then once you learn JavaScript, it's so easy to continue. And then C++ and Java, because they're all similar. So once you get the hang of one programming language, it's very easy to jump to other programming languages. But I think I spent the most time, I was mostly stuck on C++ because I was like 10 years old at that time. I had learned some HTML. I had learned some basic JavaScript, but then because I wanted to get into game development, that was my whole goal. I read online somewhere that C++ is used in game development. So I started reading this book about C++, and there I got stuck for months just trying to understand how to even build the simplest things. But then once you understand the basics, you just continue, and you can easily apply the same knowledge to other programming languages. And it's very easy for you to pick up new languages once you know one real programming language, such as C++. So once I came over that resistance in the beginning, where I didn't really understand how this whole situation works and what are loops, what are objects, what are classes in C++. Once I understood that, it was really smooth sailing from that on, because that was kind of the hardest thing to grasp. And as I always tell to people watching my YouTube videos, that programming is not difficult to start with, because look, I was 9 years old. Some people might say, but Ivan, you were a wunderkind. You were the smart genius at 9. But no, look, the smartest 9-year-old is still not as smart as the dumbest 20-year-old. So look, it's just dedication and just interest. So if you have the interest, you can always learn programming. You don't have to be good at math. You don't have to be Bill Gates or Einstein. It's very easy for you to start programming. But it is difficult to master. So easy to start, difficult to master. But many people are so discouraged because they think that you need to be very smart to even get started. But you don't. You absolutely don't. As long as you find it interesting, and as long as you're willing to put in the time, you will learn it.
Did your parents have a technical background at all?
Not really. My mom is a mathematician, but not really a programmer. So it was just that I read the book like over and over. That chapter about, I remember very clearly, there was a chapter about objects and classes in C++. I didn't understand how it worked and why it worked. So I just kept rereading it, and then it clicked after a while, because at that time it was in 2000, what was it? 9 to 2010. I mean, around that time. I mean, even before that, 2007, I think it was. So at that time, you didn't have a lot of internet resources. Now you have Stack Overflow. Now it's so easy for you to get unstuck if you're stuck learning a programming language, because there are YouTube videos, there are forums, there are communities. And when I started, there was a bit. I mean, you could still get help online, but not to the same extent as today. Not at all. But I remember there was one channel I watched a lot, which was Bucky Roberts, the New Boston. So he was around at that time already, and I really enjoyed his videos. So YouTube was still in the early stages in terms of education, but you could still find something there. But now it's way easier. Now it's so much easier to learn programming with all the content and all the YouTubers and all the courses and platforms. So if you're interested, you should do it. Absolutely.
Satoshi wrote a lot of the Bitcoin code in C, and then the first person that received a Bitcoin transaction, Hal Finney, was a C++ developer. Did this resonate
Yeah.
with you at all?
Well, in what way? I just found that it's good that they wrote it in C++ because I knew C++, so I could easily get involved and get started reading the code and understanding the code. And I mean, while I could have learned another language as well, like if they decided to write it in, I don't know, Erlang or Haskell or something else a bit more obscure, it would take a bit more time to understand it. But for me, I just felt, hey, it's good that they chosen something that I'm comfortable with. But C++ is really a good choice because it's a protocol, and the protocols you usually want to write in languages that are a bit lower level. So you don't really want to use like Python or other higher level programming languages, because you need the more speed. Sometimes you need access to hardware to the extent that is not possible with higher level programming languages. So C++ I think is a natural choice when you're writing something like Bitcoin.
Between the time you started coding and you discovered Bitcoin, did you develop any video games?
Yeah, I have several. I had several ones in the App Store, but the thing is with Apple App Store, you have to pay the developer fee to keep them up. But yeah, I mean, I had several projects I did at home. None of them became big, but it was just home projects for learning. So I remember I used this library called Cocos 2D to develop games for iOS platform. And it's interesting now that Cocos is actually in blockchain as well. They have a blockchain platform, so they have expanded from just being a game engine. And most of my things were in the beginning, it was in C++, because I read that, hey, in order to be a game developer, you need to use C++. And then I read, okay, how can I actually build something in C++? And then I found OpenGL, and I started programming in that. But then I realized it's really low level. I mean, OpenGL is, you build game engines on top of OpenGL. But because I learned everything on my own, I did not understand it in the beginning. So I tried to make games in OpenGL, which is really an insane task because it's very, very low level. You basically have to draw triangles yourself. It's not how you should develop games. You should use a game engine. So then I discovered, okay, I should not use OpenGL, although I learned basically how OpenGL works. By that time, I spent maybe 6 months learning it. And then I decided, okay, I need to learn a game engine. So I looked around, and at that time, iOS development was quite popular, and it was new and exciting and cool. So I thought, hey, let me try Cocos game engine on iOS. And then Cocos in turn, they build on lower level frameworks like OpenGL or something else. So yes, I did a lot of things all the time in my spare time, because programming was basically my hobby. That is what I did all the time when I was not in school or not training or doing something that is mandatory for you as a kid.
What kind of training did you do?
Swimming. So yeah, I was a swimmer. Swimming is actually very, very demanding when you're doing it as a teenager. Sometimes we trained 2 times per day during the holidays and during Christmas and stuff like that. So I spent a lot of time swimming. But then after that, after I was done, I went home and I programmed.
What'd you learn from swimming? Either just having to be disciplined or otherwise?
Yeah, discipline, but also competition, the fact that how to compete, how to have the mindset, things like that. Because with swimming, in all competitions, they put you with people that are basically as good as you are, exactly as good as you are. It's like a few milliseconds that is between you. And it's tough. I mean, that environment is very tough when you're a swimmer and you compete and you have to swim a distance, and then you're doing it with people who are exactly as good as you are from all kinds of different cities and other swimming clubs in Sweden. So yeah, it taught a lot about mental. How to have a good mentality, how to go through hard times, and I think everyone should do some kind of sport when they are a teenager, because you learn teamwork, you learn how to train as a team, but then you compete against each other on competitions. So how do you handle that? How do you balance being a competitor but also being in the same swimming team? So it's a lot, and definitely a good thing to learn social skills, to learn teamwork, to learn mental things. So yeah, it's you should definitely do it.
I played baseball growing up, and I think back to hanging out with my teammates and how we never would have hung out were it not on the baseball field.
Yeah, exactly. That's true.
So
But also, you get something to do. You're not like hanging out in the hood, doing crazy things or doing like useless things as a teenager. You don't have time for that because you're swimming all the time. So maybe that is the biggest thing, that you're not spending time with bad friends that are just doing things that are not useful for anyone. I think like as a teenager, it's the biggest danger, that you get friends that pull you down and they give you bad habits, and you get bad relationships, bad contacts. It's really who you hang out with decides your life. So you don't want. I think it was good as my parents did. They basically made it impossible for me to hang out with those people that don't do anything with their lives. So everyone should do it, I think, to their kids, that they should get them into sports, get them somewhere so that they don't get this bad influence.
So you discovered Bitcoin in 2013. Did you apply your coding skills to Bitcoin? And if not, tell us about what you did with Solidity.
Well, with Bitcoin, it was just learning how it works because you got to know hashing, you got to know digital signatures, you got to know so many different things to even understand how the system works and how you can have a digital cash system without intermediaries, without a central bank, without the company that controls everything, and make sure that nobody cheats. So that was how I applied my skills to Bitcoin. At that time, it was also very popular to do colored coins, and people were experimenting with all kinds of different things on top of Bitcoin. So I did some of that as well. But the main thing that really caught my attention in terms of building things was Ethereum and Solidity, because there you could truly program whatever you wanted, and you had the fully fledged Turing complete programming language, which is Solidity. So it was a whole other level, and you could really express yourself as a developer in so many different ways on Ethereum that simply wasn't possible on Bitcoin.
How did you express yourself through Solidity?
Well, you can build whatever you want. You can express the logic. You can express what the network should do. With Bitcoin, you don't have a Turing complete programming language, so you cannot tell the network to do all the things that you could with Ethereum. So they don't, for example, have loops. You cannot have a program that is repeating some kind of action over and over again a certain amount of time to the same extent as on Ethereum. So when I say express, it's not like creative expression. It's just that you want the computer to do something, and then you use the programming language to express what the computer should do. But in this case, we are programming a network. So on Bitcoin, you cannot really tell the Bitcoin network to do a lot, but on Ethereum, you have more flexibility.
What features of Solidity excited you most as you experimented with it?
Well, number one, that it is a higher level programming language. So it's like JavaScript, and there you can create data structures. You can use arrays. You can have loops, and you can really work as in a normal programming language. With Bitcoin, it's a bit different because you have a script, which is a low level stack-based scripting language. So it's kind of like working in assembly. It's very low level. You work with low level operations, while Solidity is more high level. So you work with your normal concepts as you do in other programming languages. So you use concepts like loops, classes, functions, methods, and those you don't have in Bitcoin.
Okay, so then after that, you start the channel. It begins as a coding tech channel, but
Yes.
the market gives you feedback. And I think something interesting about today with the internet is the market will give you feedback quicker than ever. So
Yes.
so suddenly your crypto videos are blowing up. Can you kind of discuss that process?
Yeah, so I started the YouTube channel just to show my programming skills. I was working as a programmer at Ericsson at that time, and Ericsson is a big telecom company in Sweden. They do radio communication like 4G, 5G. In the past, Ericsson also did the phones like Sony Ericsson. I don't know if you remember. But so I worked there as a software developer, and I thought, hey, if I create a YouTube channel and if it gets just a few thousand subscribers, it looks pretty good. It looks pretty good for all people who want to employ me in the future. It looks pretty good for my boss as well. I always had the mindset that I don't have to have like a huge following, because as long as I have 1,000, maybe a few thousands, then it's amazing, because then I can show to people that, hey, people listen to what I have to say, they're interested, so hire me, basically. And it looks good. So that was my plan. Also, my English was so bad at that time, so I thought at least I can learn English by doing YouTube. So I did YouTube every day. That was the goal. And I just said to myself, I'm going to do it every day. It doesn't matter if it's good video, bad video, because I'm going to do it every day. So if it's a bad video today, tomorrow is a new day, and quickly there will be a good one, a better one tomorrow. So I did that, and then I created a video about Ethereum, which I also found very, very fascinating at that time, and completely blew up. And I noticed, okay, people need crypto content, and I love crypto, and I think it's one of the greatest things in the world. At that time, it was in 2017, but I just didn't expect crypto to have that much audience on YouTube. I had no clue. I thought I would create, and really, you remember I told you that I said to myself, I will do videos every day. And that day when I created the Ethereum video, I just didn't know what to create. I didn't know what I should create next in terms of programming. So I thought, okay, let me do a video just to get the video out today. I will talk about Ethereum. And the good thing I did that because it completely exploded. So yeah, that is how that went. And then I saw that people need the crypto content, they appreciate it, and that is where I have my niche, because there's not a lot of content on YouTube about that from a technical perspective. So that is how I kept doing videos, and yeah, the rest is history. And the timing, of course, was good because it was 2017. But also, of course, the content was good. So it's both a bit of luck because it was 2017, but at the same time there are many people who also started channels in 2017 that are not big at all. So it's got to be both. You got to have luck, and you got to have skill and dedication and work ethic. So it's both. But yeah, of course, luck is important.
About how many views were you getting before the Ethereum video, and how many views were you getting after?
Maybe a few hundred. I mean, it wasn't a lot. I just did videos because I thought, hey, at the end of the day, I will come up to 1,000 subscribers. I think if you just do it for a few years, you will get a few thousand. And my goal was to have just 1,000-2,000, so that my future employers could see that, hey, this guy knows what he's doing. My plan was to work at the big tech companies and continue to develop my career. So I think that mindset was very helpful because I never got discouraged. I just thought, hey, I have this thing, I need to do one video per day. If it's bad, if it's good, it doesn't matter. Just get a video out, explain something, try to give value. So I wasn't too perfectionistic. Many people get stuck because they want to have like the perfect video, the perfect sound, perfect camera. But I just thought, hey, let me get a good microphone, and then we do one video per day, no matter what happens.
Yeah, that really is interesting to me. Could you discuss a little bit more about this goal of producing one video a day? Obviously, you want it to be good as possible, but you're not going to beat yourself up over it.
No, because it doesn't matter. People really, they need value. They don't care about shiny things, how your video is edited. They need value. So I thought everyone is bad at YouTube in the beginning. So whatever I do, even if I spend time, it's still going to be bad. So let me just not spend time. And instead of doing quality, I will do quantity. And quantity will lead to quality because, look, if you do one video per day for 3 months, you have 100 videos. I mean, if you have not improved in those 100 videos, something is gotta be wrong with you. So I thought, hey, through quantity, I will reach quality. And through quantity, I will also have more chances to get in front of people, so that people can see that I'm active. They see me over and over again in their suggestions. So that is the goal. And today it's way easier. I mean, today I can do quality every day basically because I've done it so many times now. So I know how to create an interesting video, how to tell the topic in an interesting way, how to explain things in an interesting way, how to engage audience. I have a nice camera. I have a studio as well. So it's way better now. But you don't have to start there. You absolutely don't. Most of 2017, I didn't have a studio. I don't even think I had a studio in 2018 until maybe like June or something. So I started the YouTube channel in April 2017, and 1.5 years I went like very basic setup, just my microphone, not a good camera, not a good background, and just good content.
How did your life start changing after that Ethereum video went viral?
Well, I just started treating it more seriously, this YouTube thing. But really, I did not see it as something I would do full time because I did not see how to monetize it. But then we started the academy. And that is where I felt, here's where I can really make a difference that is big, that is very big. And then also people started to invite me to speak and educate. And since then I've educated many big companies. We've been having workshops, we've been having keynotes, we've been educating banks. Also, we've been educating governments and government agencies how crypto works and how the world is changing in terms of finance. So it was not before late 2017 that I truly felt that this is actually a very important industry where I can build a business. I did not understand it in the beginning. I thought crypto was just, a few guys sitting at home and chatting, and that's it. But yeah, then it clearly showed that it's a lot to do here. So the biggest project we have now is the academy, and we have over 20,000 students there already, and we're doing new courses all the time. and it's a lot of content and homeworks, assignments, and so on and so forth. And that is where we make the most difference, because people that we educate actually go out and they build things in the industry and they push the industry forward. And you gotta have education in this space, because without it you don't have educated people that can change the industry and change the world. So yes, it took a few months before I understood that this is actually something I can do full time.
I think that all businesses today and in the future are going to need to have a content arm. They're going to need to use the mediums available to them to reach their audience, and they're going to need
Yeah,
to do it in a informative, educational, and entertaining way.
yeah.
Um, Now, you set up the media aspect of that, and then you created a product or service. Could you kind of discuss that evolution?
Well, it was a natural fit because the audience wanted knowledge, and I had a lot of knowledge. So we packaged it in the academy. And also, when it comes to deep knowledge, for example, learning how to program on Ethereum or learning how to program on Bitcoin or Lightning Network, you cannot really do it on YouTube because the YouTube algorithm will not push that video a lot. The reason is because most people will not watch it. So it's maybe only 5% of your audience that truly wants to learn how it works. They truly want to get involved. And therefore it's better that they enter the academy, because number one, YouTube will not push the video either way on YouTube, so why put it there? Number two, we can monetize. Number three, when people pay, they actually treat the academy with respect, and they actually watch and they spend time, they learn, they dedicate themselves. When you watch a YouTube video for free, you don't take it seriously. So therefore it's been very important to actually get people results, that they actually get involved in our academy. And then of course we have homeworks, assignments, we can help them individually. We have monthly Q&As where people can ask anything. If something doesn't work, if something is they don't understand something, I will personally answer all questions. And then we also have the community where people can ask questions all the time, and we will help them and solve their issues basically each and every day if they have an issue through our forums, the community only, academy only forums. So it was a very clear sign that we need to do something on the educational front. And if we want to have deep education and really valuable education, it cannot be on YouTube. It has to be in the academy.
At what point did you start getting invited to conferences to be a public speaker?
It was very quickly. It was in 2017. So as soon as I started doing videos, pretty quickly people started inviting me. And that is also when I started to understand that this is actually an industry where a lot of things are happening, that you have conferences. You have conferences that people pay for, and they want to go, they want to learn. I didn't know that when I started the YouTube channel, because once again, I thought that crypto was guys sitting at home and just chatting on the Bitcoin talk, and that's it. But then you realize how big the industry really was once you really get involved. And up until 2017, I just had crypto as a hobby. I had no clue it was as big as it actually was, because I wasn't out in the actual in the actual community, in the actual industry, on the ground. I was just sitting at home, basically learning and studying it.
That's fascinating. So, like, at this point now, where's it going to go from here?
Well, it's gotta grow. 100% certain it's gotta grow in one way or another. And we're pushing the academy each and every day, creating new content, creating new material, and we're reaching more people each and every day. So we're in the early days for sure. And this is only the beginning for crypto, for our academy, and for everything we do. It's only the beginning.
Since you started your YouTube channel, what's been the biggest challenge you've faced?
Biggest challenge, I mean, I don't know, biggest challenge. There aren't, I mean, each and every day there is a small challenge to create and to tell a story, to be interesting, to communicate what's happening in a way that people actually enjoy watching. So each and every day there is a small challenge to create interesting content, educational content that people value. That is the biggest challenge. But that challenge is constant. So that is why when you said what is the biggest challenge, I don't think there is one biggest challenge. It's just constant work, constant action, and constant improvement. But I don't think there's one like big. Maybe the YouTube purge is the big challenge, but also it's not like it's a challenge to. It's a challenge to overcome for sure. Yes, because you got to decentralize. You got to take your community to an email list or to have some kind of direct communication. So in that sense, it's a challenge, but it's not a challenge that really helps the content or helps the way I do each and every day. So when it comes to day-to-day work, there is a constant challenge. I wouldn't say there are big challenges except for maybe the last thing that happened with the purge. But then, of course, when you go to conferences, you gotta prepare the speech, you gotta be speaking public, so that's also a challenge. But it's not like one biggest challenge. There are many small challenges each and every day.
10 years ago, social media was barely even a thing. Twitter was new, Facebook was still for college kids, and fast forward 10 years later, and social media has recreated the fabric of communications on the planet. Now we have the opportunity across multiple platforms, like 5 to 7 platforms, to connect directly with our audience. And I think that what we saw with YouTube this last week or 2 weeks really underscores the necessity for us to create quantity, not just on 1 or 2 mediums, but across all these different mediums. And I mean, that
Yes.
includes YouTube, your own.com, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook. I'm sure I'm forgetting something, Instagram. Could you speak to that maybe a little bit?
Well, it's true, but you gotta have your own platform. Don't get too comfortable, as we discussed. Have your own website, have your own email list. Use those platforms just for discovery and to get more people into your own system that you control, you own, you cannot be banned from. And I think more and more people will realize, because this issue with deplatforming, it's a recent thing, and I think it really started with Alex Jones when he was banned from everywhere. And now more and more people are starting to realize it, and that we've been too comfortable, we've been too reliant, we've been too relaxed, thinking that, well, my audience is here on this platform, and that's enough. It's not enough, absolutely not enough. I think this decade of 2020s, it will actually go in the other direction more and more, because when you mentioned 10 years ago, people loved Silicon Valley 10 years ago. People don't love Silicon Valley today. People don't see this, Facebook, Google as this young startups that are changing the world for the better. They simply don't. Now the times have shifted. The public perception has shifted a lot as well. So I think more and more people realize that platforms are so big right now, and they control everything. And we have this monopoly that it's really unsustainable long term. So when more people understand it, and it starts with the creators. So for example, Alex Jones was the first, then I'm sure now we have several others as well being deplatformed. But as more and more creators experience that, I think more and more people will also realize that YouTube is now like television was before. It's not disruptive. It's not um, it's not something that is for young people that are they want to change the world. It is old media nowadays. It's becoming old media. It's boomer tech, as you would call it nowadays. So all new technologies from the beginning are dissident technologies. I really like this word, dissident tech. So Google was a dissident. It was for people who wanted to communicate and find information without needing to go through centralized, newspapers that are slow, and they write things sometimes, and they maybe hide some information other times. Google was dissident. They opened up the whole world to information, and you can find any information you want. Uh, YouTube was also dissident. You don't have to have your appearance on television or radio or newspaper. You can become big on YouTube, and you can build your own name yourself. And it is true. It is true. But at the same time now it is status quo, and they're not dissident. Instead, they are this big, monopolist, and people perceive them that way. So I think crypto is dissident tech, and decentralized technologies are also dissident tech, and they will be the cool things of 2020s. Because YouTube is not as cool as it was. Google is not as cool. So when it comes to younger generation and people who want to adopt new technologies, they will be looking for other alternatives. And you also see it on YouTube now. It's mostly for late night shows and for established celebrities. That is what YouTube wants to be. They want to be television, and they are favoring these celebrities and old school famous people. It's not really what it was in the past either. So I understand why they're doing it, because they of course are a business. They need advertisement, and advertisers are more comfortable when you have late night shows being popular, and they can get more views. And original creators that are a bit edgy, that have content that is maybe not advertiser friendly, I think will have to move somewhere else sooner or later. You will have the same situation with YouTube as with old television, that it's only boomers watching it, only the older generation, and maybe we are the older generation, and the next generation will be the one that switches. We'll see, but I think times are changing for sure, and it's just constant. The change is the only constant thing we have in this world.
And it's really important for us to understand that. So as individuals, we have to ensure that we're not those guys or girls that are still stuck on YouTube when everyone else is on some other medium, especially if we're
Yeah.
creating.
Yes. And I don't know if something will be as good. I mean, YouTube is amazing. Once again, I just want to highlight that for the record. It's amazing. It's opened up so many opportunities. It changed my life for sure. So I'm truly thankful to YouTube, and it's been an amazing ride, and still is. And I hope we can continue doing YouTube for a very long time. As long as they want us there, and we can be there, we will be there. So it's an amazing platform. But it's just the truth that it's not this cool platform as it was before, and people are not as excited about YouTube as they were before, and you're seeing a lot of things change on YouTube, and it becomes more and more like the old media.
Are there any decentralized platforms that you're keeping an eye on that you think have potential to serve this niche?
Not really, to be honest with you. There is DLive. I use DLive. I Steam it, but the issue with them is discovery. They are only doing one thing good, that is hosting. But as I told you before, I can do hosting myself on my own website. So I don't really see a lot of like good competitors, because none of them have focused on the discovery. You gotta solve discovery. You gotta somehow, maybe you can build, for example, maybe you can build a website that shows YouTube clips, and you can still get the content from YouTube, but you also have content from decentralized platform. I mean, you gotta have something like this, where we can still have the network effects of the current social media, but then you can start decentralizing and going slowly towards decentralization. Discovery is what's important, not hosting. And all the platforms right now focus on hosting, that they can host my content, but I don't need that. I can host myself as well. It's discovery that I need. I need eyeballs. So, I mean, there are a few. I mean, Library, DLive, Steemit. It's very interesting, but not interesting that I actually think that I will benefit something from them today. I will benefit a bit. I mean, I can decentralize a bit, but it's not game changing whatsoever. I hope that they will grow. I mean, that is why I'm putting content there, so that maybe they will grow, and maybe I can help them by putting my content there. But it's nowhere close now, and probably will take a decade, if not more.
What advice do you have for somebody that's looking to start their own show?
Do it every day. That's really do it every day. You will figure out the rest.
What else should people know about Ivan?
Well, they know about the academy, they know about the YouTube channel. And I think they should know that, look, crypto is my passion. I'm working full-time in crypto. I've been full-time since 2017. And so I truly hope that we can do a lot of good in the world with crypto. And I truly believe that it will change a lot, and it will help a lot of people in this world.
Ivan, thank you so much for taking time to sit down with me today. And thank you everyone for listening.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Justin. Thanks.